Hello, it's Dave here, and this is me wife, Kathy.
Hello.
And sure, this is the Cinemile. It's the podcast where we walk home from the movies. And we're here today to talk about the latest Irish movie. It's called The Irish Wish with Lindsay Lohan from the States.
Please stop now.
I think I could keep this up for the whole episode.
You could, but I wouldn't record the episode.
This is how we talk in Ireland.
It is.
As you know.
Absolutely.
As Netflix and potentially millions of people will now believe. So this, if you don't know what we're about to talk about, it is a Netflix produced, I say Netflix, it's Hallmark.
It's Netflix.
Netflix's Hallmark universe.
It's Netflix's Christmas movie universe, but they've expanded it to Paddy's Day.
They've expanded it to racial stereotypes.
Because
it's just like, what other things can
they're
we...
like, what calendar events can we do? We've kind of done a lot with Christmas. Lindsay's already done a Christmas one.
What's next? What's next on the calendar?
Yeah.
January, February, March. Oh, there we go. And happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you, which is the day that this is being released, and you may or may not be listening to it.
Don't you mean St. Patty's Day?
No, I do not mean that, and anyone who
checking.
says that is dead to me. Sorry, apologies.
Anyway.
To our American listeners, it is Paddy with a hard D.
Yeah, hard D.
No soft T's.
And Dave hasn't even watched the trailer for An Irish Wish. I have. I've dissected the trailer. I know everything about it. Dave, what do you know about this movie?
I know that Lindsay Lohan's in it.
Uh-huh.
And that she comes to Ireland.
Uh-huh. And she makes a
an Irish
wish.
cocktail. Oh, a wish! Oh, yes, of course. The guy from Picard season 3 is in it.
Also from You
Ed
season
Spielers.
4.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of his, I have to say. We've
Yeah,
been excited about this movie since we reviewed her Christmas movie
What was that called? Christmas Wish?
a year and a half ago on Bah Humbug, a podcast hosted by Helen O'Hara. We went on to review her Christmas.
Great podcast.
Great podcast.
Terrible movie.
Terrible movie. And we realised at the time that this movie was coming, and we were thrilled. So I've been waiting, to be honest.
Yeah. So let's head home and stick it on. And stick on an old pint of Guinness for the boys.
What boys? Our children?
I don't know.
I can't wait. Honestly, this is the kind of event, tentpole thing that I need.
Is it?
Yeah.
This is your Avengers Endgame.
I've been waiting a long time for this movie, and I can't wait to see it.
Do you think Santa Claus will be in it from the Netflix cinematic Santa Claus movies?
There is always a Santa Claus that basically grants a wish or does something mystical,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't be surprised. Or if it's like a leprechaun, maybe.
Oh, it'll be a leprechaun.
Yeah. So, see you after.
All right, see you soon.
Bye.
What brings you to Ireland?
A wedding.
No, congratulations.
Oh no, it's not mine. It's my friend's.
I can't believe Paul and Emma are getting married.
You balance me out, Madeline.
We do make a great team.
We do.
Hi, Mom. I can't help but think that things would be different if I had told Paul how I felt.
You're gonna have to start speaking up for yourself.
It's too late now. I wish I was marrying Paul Kennedy.
What the? Oh! Paul? Emma!
Have you seen Paul? I haven't seen him anywhere.
How did he get in there?
What is wrong?
I am not the one who's getting married. She is.
Exactly. You, my friend, are marrying Paul Kennedy.
Yes!
Come on.
All right, hi, we're back. We've seen Netflix's Irish Wish, starring Lindsay Lohan.
Now, firstly,
for
Dave,
our sins.
you were terribly inaccurate to put on a kind of intense Irish accent at the intro to this because
There's no
everyone in this
Irish
film-
people in this.
Everyone in this film is practically English.
What the hell? Anyway, before we get to that, there's no spoilers here on the Cinemile until, of course, we turn to Spoiler Street. But brackets, spoilers don't matter for this because there is nothing
Within
to spoil.
the first 2 minutes of this film, you know what's going to happen.
And also, you just shouldn't watch this. Just listen to us. We'll just
Absolutely not.
describe the movie for
no,
you.
absolutely not listen to Dave.
What?
Because I had a lot of fun watching it.
Okay, I mean, sure, if you want to...
We had fun, don't I?
I mean, I would not describe this as fun. It's
movie-
not a good movie.
I'm saying
It's incredibly
we had
bad.
fun watching them.
Oh, sure we did, yeah. I mean, it was silly.
It's ridiculous.
Um,
Dave, do you want to
Kathy,
give us a
why
plot
did you,
summary?
I was going to ask you to do it, but yeah, I'll,
Okay.
go on, you go.
So, Lindsay Lohan is a
Literary book editor.
quirky, bookish,
Klutzy.
clumsy, I mean, you've never seen anything like her as the lead of a rom-com.
Why do rom-com leads have to be completely like unable to control their own bodies?
I've seen speculation about this movie, like genuine speculation that people think it was written by like ChatGPT. And I think
It was written by a Canadian woman who has done a lot of these
there's
Netflix
a strong
movies.
kind of sense of that, because it's just like every kind of quirk of a romantic female lead thrown together all at once very poorly. Anyway, that's what she is. She's in New York City. She's a book editor / ghostwriter, and she is in love with the guy she edits books for. He's in love with someone else.
Paul Kennedy,
And
whose
she
name
makes-
is said every 5 minutes in this movie.
Who's not an
And,
Irish actor.
Who's the writer of the best-selling book Two Irish Hearts.
And she's in love with him, and then her best friend's marrying him, and then she makes a wish that she was marrying Paul Kennedy, and lo and behold,
She makes a wish to St. Bridget.
she wakes up and she's getting married to Paul Kennedy. So that's all in the trailer. That's not spoiler street. Now, what we kind of realise as we watch the film, however, is it's kind of like,
Terrible.
but it's, you know, the way we were slagging it off about like being Irishy, it's effectively not reflective visually or otherwise of Ireland at all, because like at least Wild Mountain Thyme like looks like it's set in Ireland. This was filmed in Ireland.
Come on, don't be giving Wild Mountain Thyme any
just
credit.
saying,
Do
what
you remember
they've done-
our whole review of that, which you can go back and listen to, was it's set in modern day Ireland and everyone is dressed and acts like they're in
I'm
the
talking
60s.
about the landscape. What they've done with the landscape of this
Yes,
movie is
that's true.
outrageous. It's like CGI Ireland.
They turned up the colour saturation
Yeah.
to 95,
Ireland,
99,
I'm sorry to any American
190%.
listeners. Ireland doesn't look like what you see in this film.
Looks like Disneyland. They go at one point. They go to a river, which is in some sort of meadow with flowers that don't exist in Ireland.
It's just, it looks like, I actually was like, wait, did they film this in New Zealand? Because New Zealand has a bit more of that turned up colour than Ireland does, and then we realise no, they've shot it in Ireland, but it's ludicrous.
They get on boats at a pier, which has been created by the set of this production
Yeah.
design of this movie. It is completely bright pink
So the
and would
movie-
not exist in Ireland.
Doesn't look like it, albeit it is shot in Ireland. I'd say mostly doesn't look like it's made in Ireland. It looks like it's made on a set.
They definitely went to Knock Airport. That much
They
we
definitely
know.
went to Knock Airport. Now, so the whole kind of premise of the film is she's in Ireland and it's a kind of my best friend's wedding meets a Hallmark Christmas movie vibe. I don't want to give away too much about the plot twists, if you would call them
Plot
that, before it gets to
twists? What are you
spoilers.
talking about?
But like the weirdest thing about this movie is it definitely is in the. It's so similar to the Christmas movie she did for Netflix. And it's
Yeah.
her character is incredibly odd because her character is like sexless, right, for want of a better word. Her character is supposedly in love with this guy, and then she makes a wish and they're together. And then there is negative chemistry or interest from her towards him.
Yeah.
So much so that at one point you're like, if they wanted to explore something interesting like consent, they could have been like, because he's only with her because she wished for it, he hasn't really consented and therefore she feels icky about the situation, and then like appropriately isn't interested in him.
But they don't
But
do
they
any
don't
of that.
do any of that.
But all they do is
Doesn't make
so
no
what
sense.
you get is Lindsay Lohan's character discovering that wish has come true, then looks herself in the mirror and is like clapping her hands in glee, like, oh my god, I'm marrying Paul Kennedy, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
She's excited, she's leaning into this.
Yeah.
Cut to them waking up in the middle of the night at opposite sides of the bed.
And her screaming and punching him in the
And
face.
then she wakes up and sees him in her bed and she's like, oh, she's not used to him, and then in what I can only describe as some of the worst comedy, pratfall physical comedy I've ever seen, you know, she basically beats the shit out of him.
She has no interest in him.
And he's not a good comedy actor. I mean, I all kudos to this man who also isn't Irish. You know, I'm sure
Doing
he's a
a
fine
okay
actor
Irish
in his own
accent.
work, but he's
Okay.
miscast in this.
Yeah.
He's not good at the comedy. He's not good at doing an Irish accent.
In fairness to him, though,
he-
his character makes no sense as well, and I think, in fairness to an actor, that's a really difficult thing to act. But like, where this is very similar
She
to
doesn't
those,
even kiss this guy on the lips.
they never
ever.
and that's the number one weirdest thing about this film is, and I don't mean sex as in like, I just mean
It's the most
there's
chaste.
no. It's so chaste.
relationship.
Yeah. It doesn't. It's like she's wearing it's like she's a. she's saving herself for marriage. I don't know what's going on with this film.
Sorry, it's not interesting because the movie sets up, again, this is in the trailer, and Kathy described it, there's a love triangle here.
Yeah.
So you've got Lindsay Lohan's character, and you've got the two male leads. You've got the guy who she is now marrying because she has wished it.
Yeah.
Who and you know, if you don't see where this movie's going from dot one, then you know
from the trailer.
you've never seen a movie before.
Yeah.
And then Ed Spieler's character James, the handsome Brit, comes in and becomes the wedding photographer, and you know, they have to slowly fall in love. So obviously,
and by slowly you mean
movie,
it within 24 hours.
The movie is exactly the movie is so bad in its the screenplay is so bad in its structuring that it's like these things have to happen, and it does absolutely no legwork to make any of those things that happen realistic or believable. Okay, so we've got this lead, this Brit guy. He needs to be involved. Okay, how can we get these two to spend time together? Oh, maybe he becomes the photographer at the wedding. Okay, that happens in the most ridiculous way because the mother's like, oh no, the wedding's tomorrow and we don't have a photographer in the entirety of Ireland.
Yeah,
and they bump into a guy with a camera and say, can you do it? And they are, by the way, the most insanely rich people who live in what can only be described as an English country manor
They're
that doesn't exist in Ireland. Now, this house exists, but it's
a hotel.
It's a hotel. Like these, there are no, like, as far as I know, and please, our Irish listeners, jump in. There are no like wealthy English, crazy, noble, rich people living on estates in Ireland. Like that happened hundreds of years ago. Those houses are left over. They still exist, but they are now
don't live in them.
They're now historical heritage sites.
Like it's Powers Court, which is a very famous place in Wicklow. That's where they filmed it. Because I was looking up, like, where are they? I thought they were in England, to be honest.
So
and
exactly,
then, like,
this movie
it's basically
wants
Saltburn. It's like British aristocracy in huge houses sitting around with British accents, albeit I think they're supposed to be Irish.
They're Irish actors.
But
those parents are Irish.
They're
actors.
all putting on English accents, though.
Yeah, I don't know, because they're supposed to be insanely wealthy.
His brother's called Corey, I promise you now.
The brother is from Fermanagh, has a different accent to him.
No one in Ireland over the age of 10 is called Corey. Like,
nobody. It's not an Irish
just not.
name. But like this movie's so
rich?
inauthentic.
But the movie's so odd. Like, they're obviously like, look, Lindsay wants to go to Ireland for whatever reason. I presume she has it in her contract. You get one kiss out of me in the whole movie, and that's totally fair enough. But what you can have is chemistry and romance without kissing, and they don't do any of that.
No, but the movie wants her to be with the other character, and so they can't have any conflict where she is in any way in a relationship with this other guy, because that has to be completely clean and chaste.
And they also don't want her
that's
like,
not interesting. Have her be with two guys.
Yeah, she's not interesting. And also the movie might want to be like, oh, that's a bit icky because it's your best friend's fiance, and it's like, well, yeah, but go back to it. She's either making the wish or she isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
it doesn't commit.
She shouldn't have wished. Now,
this movie is so pathetic in its plotting.
It's so bad. And like,
characters.
I think what frustrates me so much as an Irish viewer is, if you're going to go to all the effort of making a film in Ireland, which I love, I'm so happy they came here, I'm so happy there's production budget in Ireland, I'm so happy there's filming happening in Ireland, and there's, from what I can tell, at least one Irish actor in it who's the bartender in Scruffy Murphy's. But what frustrates me is if you're going to do it, don't like I really mean this, like that Wild Mountain Thyme actually had more Irishness in it than this.
Yes.
Like, and it had an actual Irish actor.
Which is actually a shocking indictment of this movie.
Like,
that Wild Mountain Thyme is more accurate a depiction of Ireland.
They've fundamentally confused Britishness and Irishness, and they filled it with a British, extremely wealthy, upper class family situation.
That is out of whack with Irish culture and society.
Yeah,
those people don't exist.
Like, that doesn't exist in Ireland. And then
they just wanted a rich, wealthy, noble type family for her to be like in awe of.
And it just doesn't make any sense.
It's like the Princess Diaries fell into this.
It's
somehow.
So like the Princess Diaries. And then she doesn't really make sense as a character, because she's like supposedly like this writer, and she's kind of fallen under his spell, right, Paul's spell, and she effectively ghostwrites his books, even though she's only supposed to be the editor, and he's like a bit of an asshole. So why is she wishing to be married to him? Is she attracted to him at all? Because that doesn't come through.
The movie does no work to sell any of it. We're just told. It's all told on show. We're told at the very beginning, I am in love with this man.
Actually, was her movie called The Christmas Wish?
I don't know what it was called.
But in her movies, there's always like a mystical Santa, as we said, that grants a wish.
Yeah.
And in this movie,
It's just Saint
the
Bridget.
person who grants a wish is Saint Bridget.
But she plays the exact same role as Santa in that
Exact
other one.
same,
It's
yeah.
just the Irish Santa.
And what's
what she does
about it is like Saint
Yeah.
Bridget's actually the only female Irish saint, right? And Saint Bridget in the last couple of years has become really recognised in Ireland. We've even now got a public holiday named after her. So she's getting a great run, like PR wise, at the moment.
And now she's
But
been
why
set
is
back
this-
2
why is
spaces
this
by this
film
movie.
degrading
Because
her?
this movie presents Saint Bridget as this like
She's
firstly
an elf.
she's dressed like a 60s housewife for no reason, even though she was alive hundreds of years ago. And she just absolutely prances around in the most
Yeah.
ridiculous Irish accent, ducking in and out of trees mischievously and saying, "Sure, why don't you give it a go, Lindsay? Why don't you try sitting on the chair and doing a little bit
The
of a wish,
wishing
huh?"
chair.
And then, sorry, can I
think
just
we
say,
need to go to spoilers.
No, can I just say this? Oh yeah, let's go to spoilers now. So spoilers, stick around. Don't watch this movie. Spoilers now for Irish Wish. We're going to take a very quick break and we'll be right back.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
All right, so spoilers now for Irish Wish. So Saint Bridget, her role in this movie is firstly to have the wish happen, then she disappears for a while.
She's an
She
imp.
spends the rest of the movie in Iowa, in America, for no reason, because there's this whole subplot where Lindsay Lohan's mother, played by Jane Seymour, who was never on screen with anyone
Jane
else in this
Seymour
movie.
was like,
What is going on?
I will commit to 1 week filming in 2 sets.
in an airport in Iowa
And in my
and my
school.
elementary school, in which she has, you know, you look at the Lindsay Lohan stuff and say this is some of the worst physical or general broad comedy I've ever seen. But then the Jane Seymour stuff comes in to contrast it even further and be like, oh no, take me back to Ireland and Lindsay falling off a bike. Who can't ride a bike as a grown up? Now some people can't, but she's like wobbling like whoa.
No, but the thing is
into
with
a wall.
riding a
But,
bike,
like,
listen, with riding a bike, there's 2 things. You either know how to ride one or you don't.
yeah, exactly. You don't just like, oh, I'm not sure about riding a bike, and then she's like throwing her arms back and forth like this, wobbling.
At no point in this movie is Lindsay not falling over, dropping something. It's like, do you know what? What are you? You're like a 37-year-old single woman?
She's
You're
incapable
disgusting.
of using her own body in any meaningful way. She cannot interact with the world. But
Yeah.
anyway, Jane Seymour's in Iowa trying to get to this wedding, but she can't because Saint Bridget, legend of Ireland,
Home Alone.
is over there messing with her alarm
Yeah.
clock and changing the flight departure times, and for some reason showing up on the screens in the airport
Yeah.
momentarily,
Yeah.
just to prevent her mother from getting
Which
to the
makes
wedding.
no sense,
Why?
because Lindsay wished to marry Paul Kennedy. Lindsay didn't wish for her mother to get both of her legs broken.
I know,
a really
yeah, what
serious,
the hell?
A really
Like,
serious accident.
It's the same sort of stuff. Santa Claus was doing this in the other movie as well. He's twinkling his nose and just fucking people's
Yeah.
lives up royally.
Like in the other movie-
just so 2 people can have a meet cute.
Yeah, like
I'm
in the
like,
other movie-
aren't these people busy?
Not to like spoil A Christmas Wish, which is I'm positive what her movie was called now. Not to spoil whatever that movie was, but like at one point Santa like drops her down like a full like
Yeah,
her,
he
like,
pushes her off a
avalanche.
slope. Yeah, so that she has a brain injury. That's what Santa does.
Yeah, that's-
and like, so you're right. St. Bridget does the same in this movie. She basically creates a situation in which Jane Seymour
then-
fractures her legs.
There's a chance for Lindsay to actually like finally kiss Paul, who like since the moment she realised she's engaged to him, she's not expressed even 1 second of interest in
No.
him. And then they're like doing the wedding rehearsal, and like Paul goes to like peck her on the lips, and then St. Bridget appears in front of her and like winks at her, and Lindsay's like, ah!
And she like she has a public meltdown because God forbid these 2 people who are getting married should have a kiss.
It's wild. Like at no point after that, oh my God, my wishes come true thing. Like I was like, there needs to be like there needs to be at least a brief montage of Lindsay and him hooking up and it being like, oh, she got everything she wished for. Like, at no point is she happy.
It's
like,
so
that it's come
sexless,
true.
this movie.
My favourite bit is when she wakes up and the wishes come true and all the pictures have changed so that it's like her in the frame instead of the girlfriend in this frame. Like, the budget is so low on this film. Like, how they do any of the execution is so cheap. But we do need to talk about her and the British guy who I think Lindsay has really good chemistry with.
Well, he's a good actor.
He's very charming.
He's lifting this movie.
Him and her together. The scenes where it's those two, it's a proper good rom-com.
They are doing enough of a work between them to believe the Zelda relation.
Whereas
to be fair,
at no point, and I'm not doing this to be mean to any of the other actors. I really am, because what I've heard actually is that what Netflix or any of these streamers will do when they want to make, or like a Hallmark, when they want to make really cheap movies, what they do is you basically get no rehearsal time. So you just go straight in and you start filming, whereas like most movies will do like at least 3-4 weeks of intense rehearsals so everyone's vibing. So I'm not disparaging any actor in this film, I want to say. I feel like the only two who probably actually got to rehearse together were the British love interest and Lindsay.
Maybe, yeah.
Because all the other scenes, it's like they've walked in from a completely different film. Like they've walked in from a like straight to TV movie from the 90s.
Oh, it's Hallmark.
Like her two best friends, every scene she's in with them, shocking, right?
Yeah.
Anything scene she's in with Paul are like laughably bad. Paul's family are
Why not
ridiculous.
cast an Irish person? Like, Irish people are such hot commodity right now. They're writing articles about the Irish film industry and Irish actors dominating the world.
There's so many Irish actors.
And there's not a single Irish lead in this movie called
wild.
Irish Wish. Is it because Irish people know their value now and they're like, I'm not touching this thing?
Because they got Jamie Dornan. And now the other one, in fairness, wasn't a straight to DVD and had been written by like a really good scriptwriter.
The other one is a step above this, as stupid as it is.
Like Saltburn had Barry Keoghan, do you know what I mean? This film's trying to be Saltburn, but it's not working. But what with her and him though?
Is this film trying to be Saltburn?
Well, if you haven't seen it, but like the family where the family lives is like the same situation.
Right.
But with her and him, they're very good together. They've really good chemistry. I thought palpable.
They've okay chemistry.
They only kiss once, but that didn't matter because I felt romantic tension and interest.
Yeah.
I thought all the stuff with them on the Cliffs of Moher was gorgeous. I really liked their kind of little scene in the pub. She drank 3 pints of Guinness, for anyone who's wondering in this movie. First pint of Guinness, they are like the dance scene, like that's all.
Yeah, but
romantic.
Can we just firstly talk about like they go to an Irish pub?
Yeah.
And to this movie's credit, some things darts you could find in an Irish pub, but it's not as common as in England.
I've never seen it, but personally. Have you?
No, it's a bit much.
I've seen it in England, but not in Ireland.
It's just like they get the things they almost get right. You're like, oh, you were so close, movie.
Like people do Irish dance.
People, yeah, there is often like live music and Irish music, but they fall down on the little details. So I'm like, okay, so they're in a pub, they're dancing around. That would happen. But it's like everyone is dressed like they're in the 19th century. Nobody's wearing modern clothes. Like, this isn't Irish people. We have like Next and Zara. That's where we shop. We don't just wear like tweed jackets and hats.
All Lindsay Lohan, back to the chase thing. All Lindsay Lohan wears is really schoolmarmish, high-necked, like I'm a 70-year-old matron. That's how they've dressed.
I don't know who's dressing her.
Lindsay's got an executive producer credit on this film. How she allowed the clothes they put her in,
I mean,
it's completely beyond
But
me.
come here, then they go into the Irish pub, right? The other thing is like, firstly, it's like, James, tis yourself. Like, everyone's got, just nobody's doing authentic Irish accents.
Everyone know him. He's English. He doesn't live here.
Now, to be fair, he comes here a lot. He says he's here for the sheep shearing contest.
Again, New Zealand.
Yeah, thanks. And then it's like he goes, "What'll you have, lads?" And she's like, "Oh, I'll have a white wine." And he says a line which, by the way, American tourists. Nobody will say to you if you come to Ireland and go to an Irish pub. He goes, "Oh, we're a beer drinking folk here. You'll be shot for treason if they find out." It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You can go into an Irish pub and order a white wine. We have wine.
It's not
we
an
don't,
odd order. Like.
It's so just absurd, and it's just basically the movie's like, she has to have a Guinness. How do we make that happen?
What I don't understand about the movie trying to get her to like explore Irish culture, and again I say this thinking the guy's brilliant and he's the best thing in it. he should have been an Irish character.
Yeah, why do we have an it's just, do you realize how historically tricky it is to
Like,
have
why is he English?
Ireland toured, to have Ireland shown to her through the eyes of an Englishman.
It makes no sense.
It's like
he's a photographer, right? It appears he's been commissioned to fly over from England to Ireland to photograph a sheep shearing competition. Now I feel like
which has
that
been
would just be
cancelled
someone locally.
thanks
St.
to
Bridget
St.
cancelled.
Bridget's.
But I feel like a local person would do that. Like, who's flying in this British photographer? Like, it makes
I know, the
no
expenses.
sense. And then he's like, "Ooh, I'll teach you how to play darts." And I'm like, "Yeah, if you were in a pub in England."
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
He's like, let's get some fish and chips, the national fucking meal of England. And I'm like,
Yeah, but people in Ireland eat fish and chips, in fairness.
sure, but like, come on, it's just like, it's just like, and how about when they're up on the cliffs of Moher? And she goes, it's like something out of a James Joyce novel. And then he goes, wait a second, you read James Joyce?
He goes, "That's not a reference I was expecting."
Yeah, it's just, and then you pointed out where Roger goes, she's a fucking book editor.
She's a book editor.
Of course. Why wouldn't he read James
She
Joyce?
doesn't know who
Why
James
are you
Joyce is.
surprised? He is so rude from the
so
very
patronising.
beginning and patronising.
But
He's like,
as is, in fairness, again, probably another reason you could think this is written by ChatGPT, as is every male romantic antagonist in every rom-com.
oh, they have to hate each other at the beginning.
Yeah.
But that's it. But they don't do any of the work
No,
for
they
that.
just hate each
They
other.
just hate each other for no reason.
Yeah.
And they're just rude to each other.
So, for
because they
anyone
have
who's
to fall in
listening-
love. They have to go the opposite way.
For anyone who's
So
listening, this movie takes place over, the bulk of this movie takes place over 36
one
hours.
day.
So she comes to Ireland, right? And after she's made the wish with St. Bridget and the wishing chair and all that, she's engaged to Paul. They've no wedding photographer. She literally does a backflip into this guy's open convertible back accident, lands on his lap.
Which was a great stunt,
that
actually,
was really good stunt.
to be fair.
And then he becomes the wedding photographer. And then one day to go to the wedding, he's like, "Oh, we need to do a recce for photographs."
Oh, yeah.
Her Paul Kennedy, to give him his full title, can't come because he's been beaten up by Lindsay Lohan when he
In
tried
the middle of the night. So
give her
he
kiss.
has a black eye and can't get in a car and do a photo recce. I'm
And
sorry,
then
what?
They do the recce from, they go just to the Cliffs of Moher. They're the only people there. Fine, I get all that. That's very romantic. Did you need a recce though? Because I feel like
I'm
you
pretty
know.
sure you know what the Cliffs of
You
Moher
know
is going to look like.
What it's going to look like, because according to him, he's basically in Ireland all the time.
And he presents it like it's this like off the beaten track sort of hidden secret.
Nobody
It's
knows
like,
about
wait,
this place.
Wait till you see this.
And it's like, okay, so you, like the day before her wedding, most brides aren't really doing that, and then all this kind of stuff. Whatever. Maybe it's 2 days before the wedding.
How about when they're unpacking her suitcase and her friend, and she's like, "Wait a second, there's a wedding dress in here," and her friend's like, "Yeah, that's yours. You picked it out in New York." And then the next day they go out and pick out another wedding
No,
dress.
but that's because her mom was like, "This is a family heirloom." But like, wouldn't she have known that
It's like,
already?
who
That she's
is?
expected to
Why
wear
is the
family heirloom?
communication so bad in this alternate universe that we're in?
And then basically her and all the chemistry with your man, but like again, they spent one day on a recce together, and then the following day, whenever Paul speaks, he's basically like to her, "Am I right? Look at this asshole. You're like, you don't even know your own life. You don't even love your own fiance.
You mean
You're
James?
wasting yourself."
James, the photographer,
Yeah,
saying
and
that. Yeah.
and it's like, sorry, you're the wedding
You don't
photographer.
know her.
You're
Why
here-
are you like, yeah?
Why are
You're like, are you sure you want to marry this guy? And just like, you just met her.
so inappropriate. And
He's
I
like,
know
are you sure you like James Joyce?
he's like, look, there's like a Mr. and Mrs. quiz, and everyone's like, "What's Lindsay Lohan's favorite book?" And Paul Kennedy's like, "Chas Dickens," and then James the photographer's like, "It's James Joyce." And if you
Only
loved
someone
her,
who really loves her like
if
me.
you loved her, you'd know James
Even though
Joyce.
it's just complete coincidence you managed to get that information.
And also, it's like, again, your job is to be the wedding photographer, not to stand there glowering at the groom.
Yeah.
And again, they didn't build up to any of this because Paul Kennedy's actually not really that much of an asshole either. Like, he does say,
No.
"Look, my publisher wants me to get a few shots for like of the wedding," which is like, fair enough if you're a celebrity, which by the way we have to get into his red carpet scene. But when you're like, "Oh, my publisher wants a few pictures from the wedding," and he's like this, "Oh, is it a wedding or is it a PR stunt?" And Paul's a bit like, "All right, mate, like,
It's a totally
excuse me,
reasonable
I'm
request.
allowed to ask you, like, I'm paying you for my photos."
Plus, he's so like dismissive about this guy's books without ever seemingly having read them.
Well, he did get
About-
one free for no reason in a bookshop.
And and you pointed out as well, why is Lindsay Lohan carrying around her own book as reading material non-stop, just so she can drop it and someone say, "Oh, you're not reading that."
We know
right?"
how the book, vaguely we'd all know how the book industry works, right? So a book's written, it's edited, then there'd be a really long period between editing and publishing, right? So, like, to Lindsay's point of view, this is like a 2-year-old book. Yet when she travels to Ireland, it's the only piece of luggage.
It's in her
she
hand
brings.
luggage,
It's
yeah.
that book. Also, at the book, the very beginning of the movie, there's like a book launch, and this makes no sense. There's a red carpet. Paul is like, there's paps everywhere trying to get pictures of Paul Kennedy for this
Yeah.
book called The Irish something or other.
Because writers are famously like sought after by the paparazzi.
Like, unless you're like Sally Rooney or something, like nobody cares. And then the book launch event, Lindsay's best friend apparently designed the cover, but Lindsay's like, oh my god, your cover looks amazing. It's like, so
It's
Lindsay,
like-
as the book ghostwriter and editor, you've never
She's
seen
never
the
seen
cover until right now. That makes no sense. The book launch was like,
and also, it doesn't
absurd.
look amazing. It's a stock image, like it's from Getty Images.
It looks like something
with-
on the front of a Maeve Binchy book from like the early
It's
90s.
dreadful.
Yeah, and anyway, so all the stuff with Paul, the photographer is such an asshole to Paul, it's actually really unprofessional. And then he's like to Lindsay, I don't usually get this close to my subjects. It's like, yeah, because you photograph sheep at sheep shearing competitions. Why are you photographing the wedding of a family who are like, I guess, Ireland's richest family? They live in Powerscourt?
But it's never mentioned. Like, why do they have this? Like,
Yeah.
like there's no generational wealth in Ireland. Like,
It just-
60 years ago, we were dirt poor.
Yeah, it
like
doesn't
there
make any
doesn't
sense.
exist. I mean, it might exist to some level, but like all
Not
the
like this.
all the sort of noble people left or were booted out.
Or like would have parcelled off
doesn't-
the land and turned it into a hotel.
Yeah, no,
which
we,
is what
we have
Powerscourt
very
is.
rich people, but they don't live in this kind
Yeah,
of house.
nobody.
This the kind of house that is like an
It's a
absurd
British thing.
castle
like,
thing.
It's a British thing. So the whole thing is really odd. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody, maybe ChatGPT, was like, do you know what? The Irish Wish would be a great name for a movie. And it all came backwards from that.
Yeah, there's nothing here.
I
There's
think
nothing
Lindsay
of
in-
substance to hold on to in
In
this
fairness
movie.
to Lindsay, though, she props up the film.
She's
She's
totally good in
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Like, she makes it. I love that she came here. They
She's
filmed
trying.
everything. They committed. Like, in fairness to her, she was probably like, why do we have this dude when we could have like a Jamie Dornan? And they're like, we're so sorry, we've no budget left. Like, they could have got her, like, imagine they'd gotten her, like, imagine Paul Kennedy was like Paul Mescal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they should have made Paul
Paul
Kennedy.
Mescal's not slumming it.
They should have made Paul Kennedy Irish and like sexy. But he's like this sexless, slightly cartoonish,
Yeah.
vaguely villainish, but not really villainous enough where you're like, oh god, I hate that guy. Like, you kind of just want him
That's
to be happy.
that's because the movie also wants him to have a happy ending with the best friend.
Yeah.
Instead of, they should have just made him a villain, and she learns he's a villain and he's awful
And then
because he steals her book allegedly.
But she's the ghostwriter, but she doesn't get credit. But then at the very end, right, her big kind of moment is that she's like, he's like, oh, will you kind of start writing my next book for me while I'm off on my honeymoon? This is back when she's undone the wish and he's now marrying her friend like he was supposed to. And she's like, no, I know what I'm worth. And she storms out and it's like, this is your best friend's wedding. And you've just
Yeah,
stormed
yeah.
off. Like, is that fair to
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
actual best friend or supposed best
Like,
friend?
tell him you're breaking up with him professionally, like when he's back from his honeymoon.
yeah,
maybe.
like, do you know what, Paul?
Although, to be fair, he was asking her to write
he
the book
was,
while
but
she
she'd be
was
like, do you know what, we can pick it up tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
enjoy your wedding.
I know, right? Anyway, look,
Anyway,
I think
I
let's
had
wrap
so
this
much
up.
fun. Every time she took a sip of Guinness, we were like screaming. It was so fun. They're the worst Guinnesses I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, very badly poured.
For ages, until I actually Googled, 'cause I had to
completely
know.
watery as well.
I was like, this wasn't filmed in Ireland. Like, I was
But-
like, this is 100% not Ireland.
But like they've been shooting this. There's probably 20 takes, right? So that Guinness is just sitting there, and you
know,
can
yeah.
see it's just gone all watery
doesn't
and the
have the
head's gone
Guinness.
wrong. They're not pouring the Guinnesses quick enough.
But they
for
say the
takes.
name Guinness, but I feel like Guinness maybe didn't approve it because there's no Guinness logo. It's not
Yeah,
the proper glass.
wrong glass.
Guinness would be like, we're not signing off on those pints.
Yeah.
So Guinness is such a big brand that like you don't have to pay to be in a film. They'll just put you in the film, you know, that way.
Well-
like I would genuinely thought until I Googled it that like obviously I thought the Cliffs of Moher stuff was real because you can't fake that. And I thought the rest of the thing had been filmed in like some combination of a studio, New Zealand and maybe England. So I'm shocked to know that it was actually filmed on site in Ireland. It doesn't look like
It
Ireland.
is the only thing. The actual rocks and the ground are the only Irish thing in this whole movie.
And Powerscourt.
That's it.
a huge, humongous
Yeah, but
hotel complex.
even Powerscourt is pretending to be something it's not.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Some wealthy Irish aristocratic family that doesn't
Yeah,
exist.
it's so
I'm like,
bad.
what is going on?
That
Anyway,
being said, we had so much fun watching it. Do you know what? Every now and then a film just kind of needs to come out from the Americans that's like shockingly pathetic.
But
Irish
when are
film.
you going to get it right, America?
They're not gonna get it
It's
right.
like just come here
No, Dave.
and like walk around and realize that like all the stereotypes of Ireland are
But
just
Dave,
like
but the whole point is Indigenous, like, stories need to be told by the people from those places.
yeah, I know, not a Canadian
Like,
writer and an American
but that's-
director.
It can't work, and I think we've learned that, you know, over our lives, no matter what culture is trying to be represented, if it's made by Hollywood and written by Hollywood, it's not going to represent that culture. Ireland's the same, albeit in Ireland it's like basically be a big massive joke and it's funny, like no one is offended by
Yeah,
it.
no, we're all having a good old laugh at Netflix's expense.
I just hope they do it every Paddy's Day now and bring out a new one. Like, I hope it becomes the new Christmas tradition. Thank you for listening. Let us know what you thought of Irish Wish, please. We want to hear from you. Lots of you have been requesting a review for it. I think it's we've got way more review requests for Irish Wish than we did for like June or anything like that. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you thought. We hope you enjoyed it. If you listened to the episode without watching it, shame on you. I did see it was the #1 movie on Netflix in Ireland.
In Ireland, yeah.
This weekend.
Yeah, we're all having a gawk at it. Yeah, look, thanks for listening. Go follow us on Letterboxd or Instagram or TikTok at the Cinemile.
YouTube.
Or subscribe to us on YouTube, please. We've started a YouTube channel. We're doing lots of extra videos up there, and we'd love if you go check that out, please, and hit the subscribe button. And of course, if you like what we're doing here, please give us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever podcast
Spotify.
thing you're listening to, because it really helps us.
It makes a big difference, so we appreciate every time you do it.
And thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Now's the time to speak up.
Leave me breathless.